All right, let's get right into it. You've passed the exams, you've earned the qualification, but now you're facing the final boss, the interview. Today, we're opening up an insider's playbook, pulling insights from someone who's been on the other side of the table for hundreds of CA interviews. We're going to find out what really separates a candidate who gets an offer from one who doesn't.
And we're kicking things off with a pretty hot take. I mean, the usual advice is to memorize every INDS, to know the act inside and out, right? But what if all that technical cramming isn't the key? What if the one thing that actually gets you hired is something else entirely?
So that brings us to our first big idea. We're about to pull back the curtain on what interviewers are truly testing when you're sitting in that chair. And here's a little spoiler alert. It's probably not what you've been spending all those late nights studying for.
Okay, look at this. This slide really gets to the heart of it. You walk in thinking it's an exam, a test of your memory, your technical knowledge, and your ability to spit out perfect answers. But the reality, they're watching to see how you think under pressure. They're checking out your personality, your composure, and this is the big one, your thought process. How you get to an answer is often way more important than the answer itself.
So if it's not all about rattling off facts and figures, what should you be focusing on? Well, this leads us to our next section, which is all about how you frame your experience. We're talking about turning your articleship from a boring list of bullet points into a powerful narrative.
We've all heard it. It's the most common interview question. And honestly, it's a huge trap. Most candidates just start listing their qualifications and history. But you need to see this question for what it really is, a golden opportunity. It's an invitation to tell a compelling story about the value you can bring.
And here's exactly how you build that story. It's a super simple three-step formula. First, give them the context. Who is the client? What was the project? Then the action. What specific thing did you do? What did you lead or identify? And finally, you hit them with the result. What was the measurable, quantifiable impact of your work? This formula is what turns a task into a triumph.
And boom, here's what that looks like in action. See how powerful that is? It's specific, it shows leadership, and it closes with a big, quantifiable result. That is infinitely more impressive and memorable than just saying, oh, I did some IFC testing. The takeaway here is simple. Specifics win every single time.
Okay, so storytelling is one thing, but what happens when the pressure is on? You know, when they throw a curveball question you totally weren't expecting. This next part is all about your secret weapon for those moments, your composure. Now, the first rule of staying cool under pressure is preparation. You have to know your resume cold because every single line is fair game. If you write down advanced Excel, you better be ready to talk through a VLOOKUP on the spot. Same goes for SAP experience. Here's the golden rule. If you can't confidently explain it or demonstrate it in about 60 seconds, it does not belong on your resume. It's about being authentic and totally bulletproof. The moment we all dread. The interviewer asks a super specific question, and your mind just goes completely blank. What do? Do you freeze? Do you guess? According to the experts, you do neither. This phrase right here is your lifeline. It is so powerful because it immediately shifts the focus. You're moving from a failure of memory to a demonstration of your problem-solving process. It shows confidence in your ability to figure things out, which, let's be honest, is way more valuable than just knowing some random fact. And speaking of composure, you need to get comfortable with a little bit of silence. Taking a few seconds to pause and structure your thoughts is a sign of maturity, not weakness. The real interview killer isn't the silence, it's the nervous rambling you do to try and fill it. A structured thought will always beat panicked talking. We've covered storytelling, we've covered composure, but now we have to talk about the ultimate tiebreaker. When two candidates look pretty much identical on paper, this is what makes all the difference. The likability factor.
3 minutes, that's it. According to our insider, that's often all the time you have to make that critical gut impression. In those first 180 seconds, the interviewer is subconsciously asking one question. Do I actually want to work with this person every day? The rest of the interview is often just them looking for evidence to confirm their initial gut feeling.
This right here is the core message. Think of it this way. Your technical skills, your CA qualification, that's just the price of admission. It gets you in the room. But it's your personality, your ability to connect, your likability, that convinces them to offer you a seat at their table.
So how do you boost that likability factor? It's surprisingly simple stuff. Making eye contact, that builds a human connection. A real smile when you walk in the door, that sets a positive tone from the very first second.
And asking smart questions that show you've done your homework? That proves you're genuinely curious about this company, not just any job. It all helps them answer that unspoken question with a yes.
Okay, home stretch. You've made a great first impression. You've told some compelling stories. You've handled the pressure like a pro. So how do you stick the landing and seal the deal? Let's talk about making that final impression really count.
When they inevitably ask, "So, do you have any questions for us?" This is the question you want in your back pocket. Why this one? Because it instantly signals that you're already thinking like an employee, not just a candidate. You're picturing yourself in the role, ready to hit the ground running.
And finally, please don't forget the basics. A simple, professional thank you email within 24 hours just reinforces your interest and shows you're on top of things. It's such a small thing, but it leaves a lasting positive impression.
So what's the big takeaway here? That CA qualification is your key. It opens the door to incredible opportunities. But everything else we've talked about today, the stories you tell, the composure you show, the connection you make, that's how you walk through that door with confidence. That's what gets you the job. And that part is entirely up to you.